Good morning. Welcome to Titan Talk, the podcast that everybody in Mercer County is talking about. I'm David Sullivan.
I'm Judah Coon.
And our first guest today is Mr. Art Freeman, the mayor of Harrisburg. We're so excited for you to be here. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, the first question is, how should we address you? Are they calling you Your Excellency, or is it Mr. Mayor, Mr. Freeman? What do you prefer?
I prefer Art.
Art?
Art.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well,
Think of me as a bad picture on the wall.
All right. Well, Art, thank you so much for coming today. We're excited. We've got, we won't keep you here long, but we do have a lot of questions for you. And the first one really is, we'd love to hear the story about your election. We would love for you to take us back on election night. There were a lot of people that were both surprised, amazed, excited. This was really historic. We went back and did some research on you and this election and some of the unique things about it. So if you don't mind, take us back from the time that you put your hat in the ring, lost, and then won.
Well, let me take you back a little earlier than that. Starting in the spring of 2018, people started coming to me and asking me to run for mayor. And I said no many times. Eventually I said hell no. But I did not want to be mayor. And this kept on, and the numbers kept growing. And some of my best friends and people who I care a lot about said, you really need to do this. And I said, look, the filing deadline's over. It's too late. If I run as a write-in candidate, I have no chance. It would be hard to mount a write-in candidacy and succeed. And so, I've been here all my life.
Right.
My father's family's been in Mercer County since the late 1700s. We know everybody except those who've come in here in the past 30 years because I spent a lot of my working life out of town from the early 1980s until the early 2000s. I've been in the banking business most of my life, so I know all the bank customers, not just at one bank, but I was either a CEO or a board member at pretty much every bank in town. So in, 3 weeks before the election, a lady who's a close friend of mine came to me with the paperwork to file as a write-in candidate. And she said, you've got until, 5-6 days from now to file these papers. I want you to get serious and think about this. Talk to your wife, Laura. See if you can't figure out a way to do this.
3 weeks before the election.
3 weeks before
3 weeks.
3 weeks before the election, I filed my papers. I filed on late on a Monday afternoon. You had to, the clerk's office is open till 4. I went up and talked to Chris Horn, the county clerk, and made sure I had everything done correctly. He asked me to list all the ways my first name could be, Art, Arthur, Arthur Lee, Arthur L, A-L, A. Freeman. I had like 12 names you could say, that were actually my names.
Right.
And so we filed late in the day. And 3 weeks later, I had a lot of friends helping me put up yard signs and going door to door and passing out cards and little door hangers. So I had a 3-week campaign. We ran ads in the paper for 2 of those 3 weeks, I think.
I remember seeing those.
Maybe 3, but I think it was only 2.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, on election night, when the returns came in, and it took forever.
Where were you when this was going on? At the courthouse?
I was at the courthouse.
Okay.
Eventually, I was at the courthouse. They had a little get-together downtown for me, and there was probably 40 people there waiting for election returns. Anyway, when the results were final, they first came out and kind of said, here's the vote tally. Eddie Long, who was our current mayor at the time, 1,033, Art Freeman, 1,081. And then they said, no, wait a minute, that's not right. So an hour or two later, they come back, and I had lost by 4 votes. So the next morning, I slept like a baby.
So you went home thinking that you had lost the
Well,
four
not really.
votes.
I went home thinking that the election results showed that I had lost.
Okay.
But there were some abnormalities on election day at the polling place. I had 12 or 14 people to tell me that they were asking for instructions on how to do a write-in vote, and there were poll workers saying, just write his name on the line, don't worry about checking the box, just put his name on the line. Well, I know that if you don't check the box on a write-in candidate, the machine you feed the ballot into doesn't count the vote.
Okay.
So I'm thinking to myself, I only need 5. So I got my attorney, We petitioned the circuit court for a recount, and we met the next morning after they heard this petition with Judge Peckler and the county attorney and the county clerk and one or two guys from the election board. And the judge announced, I'm going to do the recount. I want to subpoena the voting machines up here to my courtroom today, and in the morning we will meet at 9 o'clock. Freeman's attorney, county clerk, anybody from the election commission that wants to come. And if the newspaper wants a reporter here, that's fine, but it can't ask any questions. This is a legal proceeding. So, long story short, they opened all the ballot machines up. They
in front of you?
Oh no, I was not there. I did not want to be there.
Okay.
I did not want to be there, and I don't think either did Mayor Law want to be there. But the attorneys were there. There was somebody from the election commission there, and the judge was there, and the judge had some of his staff there. So they separated all the ballots into the box checked and the box not checked. And so when they went through the ballots where the box was checked, there were 63 ballots on election day that the machine takes a little photo about this big, like a sliver, of that line, and they couldn't tell that was my name. So there were 63 ballots that were not qualified of the ballots cast with the box checked. So they went through those first, and the judge certified all but one. And I know who that one is because he came to me election night and said, he's got a problem. He shakes profusely. And when he asked if his wife could write the name in for him on the box, they wouldn't let him. They said, you have to do that yourself. So he said, there's no way they will be able to read my writing. And so I knew there was going to be one vote in there, at least, that you couldn't tell it was my name. Of the 63 that they couldn't qualify, the judge qualified all but one.
Wow.
So at that point, I'm 62 votes to the better, which means I'm 58 votes ahead of Mayor Long.
Right.
Well, the judge also says there's 107 ballots in this machine with the box not checked, and every one of them have Art Freeman's name on it as plain as day. And he says, I'm going to count those. So the county attorney and the county clerk said, well, KRS blah, blah, blah says when you vote, you have to check the box and write the name in. He said, yeah, that's when you vote. But when the votes are recounted, the intention of the voter is more important than checking a box.
That is fascinating.
And he says there's a 2007 court case in Kentucky, exactly like this, where the judge ruled that whether the box was checked or not in a recount, you count, if the name is on there and you can see it, you count the vote. And it went all the way to the Kentucky Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court upheld the judge.
Oh my gosh.
So there was some conversation about, we don't think we should do this. And the judge says, well, I'm going to do it. I'm the judge. And if you want to protest, go ahead and protest.
Right.
But whether we count the 107 votes or not, Freeman's ahead.
They're still up 58.
Yeah. So anyway, they counted the votes. So I ended up winning by something like, I don't know, 160 something, 170 something votes.
This seems like something right out of a movie, really.
Well,
I mean,
it's.
does.
I don't think there's anything illicit or improper of what was done. I just think it's one of those things. You know, you always have poll workers that don't really understand everything, and write-in candidacies are oddity. We don't have many of those around here.
I can't ever remember one.
And as far as I can tell, I'm the only mayor in the United States that was ever elected by a write-in vote against an incumbent mayor.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard rumors that there's another one in Kentucky, but sometime back where it happened. But
well, we couldn't find one. We did research on it.
Yeah.
And the only write-in successful candidate we could find was in 2010, like in Arizona, and it was a state senator or something. But we didn't find any mayors. So
it's kind of odd. And I give full credit to the friends who helped me, because I had a lot of help running. I had this boot on my foot like I do right now back then, and so I couldn't do a lot of door-to-door campaigning.
Right.
But fortunately, I got a lot of friends.
Well, does it make you more, or do you have more faith in our system after going through all this, that eventually that it worked out? Or does it make you feel nervous about our voting system?
I've always had faith in our system.
Okay.
We have a good election process in the country because we have 50 states, and each state manages their own election. It would be hard to rig, particularly a national election.
Right.
But it's hard to do anything improper in the election process. The county clerks are all well educated. They know what they're doing. Most of their deputy clerks and folks that work in the clerk's office are pretty wise and pretty adept at what's going on.
Well,
and then the poll workers, you know, they're basically volunteers. So you get a lot of retired folks that are working at the polls. And how they go into work at 5:30 in the morning and last until
All
6:30 or
day.
7 at night, I couldn't do it. I have a
Right.
brother who's 8 years older than me. He does that every year.
Yeah, my hat's off to those people.
Yeah.
I see them too all
Yeah,
the time.
they do a good job.
They do. All right. Well, that's amazing. That's hats off to you for that. That's an amazing story. There's a book or a movie or something in there, but
Oh,
that's
I doubt
pretty
that.
exciting. I don't know. It's pretty exciting.
It would be a short story.
Well, it's pretty good.
Art, Judica, thanks for coming today. If you had like 3 wishes to change about Harrodsburg, what would you change about it?
Well, number one, my number one wish would be that we could get everybody in this community to work together to accomplish the goals that we all as a community set. And that's tough. We have a hard time getting, we got several organizations, some nonprofit, some tax funded. They all run off in their own direction. And we've got a 250th birthday coming up in a few years. And it's hard to get everybody focused on the same priority.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got different priorities. I and the county judge have made up our mind since I've been elected that we're going to work together and try to get the city and the county to cooperate with each other, so we at least got that going on. And I think the 250th birthday will be a tool we can use to bring everybody together.
Yeah.
So that's the number one wish. Number two is I wish we could clean up Harrodsburg. We've got properties in disarray and grass up to your knees, and my knees are way up off the ground. It just, this old town is almost 250 years old, and it's the coolest place in the world. I've been all over. I've lived here all my life, and so has my family. And I love Harrodsburg. That's why I ran for mayor. That's why I was coerced into running for mayor. But it's a neat town. I've been around, and I love Harrodsburg. I was raised and lived here, and I intend to die here. Not tonight or today, but this is where I want to live and die. And I hope that's a while, and I hope we can clean things up and get everybody on the same page. That's wish number two. Wish number three is that we need to be, as consumers, we need to be more hometown pro-business. We need to eat, shop, dine, entertain ourselves in Harrodsburg instead of running to Danville or Lexington or Lawrenceburg or Springfield for dinner. Number one request I have from everybody in the town is we need more restaurants. We have 42 restaurants in the city of Harrodsburg.
Wow.
42. Some of them are not open for dinner. Most of them are not open for dinner, but the breakfast and lunch is a big thing. And then, like the bus station's open a couple of nights a week. The fudge company's open a couple of nights a week. Beaumont Inn's open Tuesday through Saturday at night. So, if you're looking for a good meal on Sunday night, go to McDonald's or Arby's, because we don't, or Lee's Famous Recipe. We don't have a lot of evening dining establishments. So maybe if we start as consumers patronizing the businesses and the restaurants we have, maybe some of them will say, hey, let's stay open at night. We have good restaurants. I mean, I've eaten at most of them, as you can tell. I like to eat, but we need to patronize our hometown businesses. We need to buy at the retail places. We need to shop in the stores. We need to eat at the restaurants. It's kind of a, I don't know. And I don't know why that has become that way, but the commissioners and I have made a determination that we want to be much more pro-business as a city commission.